Hey guys, it's Eddie and today I will be doing another movie review for you all. Now today's movie I mentioned earlier in the week that I was going to be reviewing, and I mentioned it in my Blair Witch Project video, and last night I went to see the new Blair Witch sequel, ingeniously titled Blair Witch. So that is what we're going to be reviewing today. It's directed by Adam Wingard, who also directed Your Next, which was a fantastic slasher horror film. So I had high hopes for this sequel, and as you could have told very well from my original Blair Witch review, I loved the original film as well. So yeah, I was really excited about going to see this film, and I thought that it was good. Now, before we get into the full analysis of the movie, I just wanted to tell you all that there will be spoilers in this review, but I will warn you guys, if for those who don't want to see spoilers, or don't want to hear spoilers rather, when the spoilers are going to come up. So I'll just put a little title across the bottom or something when you can switch off. But this part of the review will be spoiler free. So without further ado, let's get reviewing. Now, I thought that this film had really fabulous nods to the original. There were some tropes from the original that kept cropping up across the movie. I think it was very tastefully done, and I think it was, it was smart. It wasn't, copying the original scene for scene, but they did lift certain elements that were really captivating from the original, and they sort of placed them very cleverly into the movie that I really liked. There was really great acting, particularly from Callie Hernandez, who played Lisa, who is part of the gang of teenagers that go and see if they can find Heather from the original movie. James in this movie, played by James Allen McCune, is Heather's brother, and he's going back to see if he can find her and find the house in which she, her cameras were found, or the part of the woods where the camera was found, with all the footage that we saw from the original movie. So yes, and on the way they meet some locals of Burkittsville, who are a little bit mysterious, played by Valerie Curry and Wes Robinson, and you kind of don't know what's going on with them. I thought that was a nice touch, actually, that we got, not just a group of young filmmakers who didn't know anything about the Blair Witch, other than, one of their sisters was involved in it. I thought that the touch of having, these two kind of weird characters, going along with them, added a little bit more creepiness, and I really liked that. There are some scenes in the movie which are painfully claustrophobic. If anyone has seen the trailer, there is a particular very enclosed scene with Callie Hernandez, aka Lisa, in a tunnel. I won't tell you how she got there, but it was very excruciating to watch, very painful to watch. Kind of made me feel the way that it was filmed made me feel very claustrophobic along with her, and I was kind of dreading what was going to happen. The beginning of the film, before it gets to those sort of high energy, sort of excruciatingly endurable moments, the beginning was arguably a little bit slow, but if you've seen the original Blair Witch film, pretty much that is the point of the movie. It builds. And a good chunk of the beginning is just the kids going into the woods, talking about what they might find there, talking about the legend. And what I did like about this movie is that they did touch upon the details of the legend a little bit more. You got to find out more about the Blair Witch, who she was originally. You got to find out more about her little henchman, Rustin Parr, which was really good. Kind of added a more grim, authentic detail to the legend that these kids were basically going to the woods to find out about, and I like that. I like that it cast more light on it. There is a few very notable differences to the original, and I'm using the original as a base because to compare it to, because, you know, I think that's a natural thing to do. I mean, if we're talking about the film on its own, I think the film is very good, very, very scary. But I just wanted to compare the two movies because I think that's important, because this film is a sequel, so it's bound to happen. And I think what was great about the movie is that it did take you on different paths from the original. There were, you know, there are scenes where, which we didn't get in the first film, we delve slightly into body horror a little bit, very sort of split-second quick scenes of body horror, but it is quite grotesque. I will say that the sort of shaky camera work that we got in the first one it's still there. Obviously it's prominent because we have hands, you know, it's the same principle. There are, you know, kids going into the woods equipped with handheld cameras, but I think it's slightly less of a sort of mitigating factor in watching the film. You know, it's more stylized in this one because they've got more, you know, high-tech cameras. They've got loads of new technology like drones and like earpiece camera things, and I think that's good actually, because one of the things with the Blair Witch Project was that it actually made me feel quite sick. It gave me quite a lot of motion sickness when I first watched it, and I think you still get some of that in the daytime scenes in this film, but the thing is those scenes are few and far between because this mostly happens at night. So I think it doesn't make you feel as, you know, it doesn't make you feel as sick as the original. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that if anybody else like me suffers from motion sickness. But yeah, I think it was more stylized. It just seemed a little bit more polished than the original film, but I think we're going to put that down to technology and its advancements. There is a terrifying end sequence. I won't tell you anything that happens until I delve into the spoiler part of this review, but for those who don't want any spoilers, I will just say prepare yourself for the last 20-30 minutes of the film, because it is just an absolute torrent of terrifying scenes, terrifying imagery. It is just very, very intense, and I think it was brilliantly executed. I think the whole film, you know, with its jump scares, was worth it for that last 30 minutes. It was just incredible, and I think this film is definitely kind of a new. It feels like it's revitalize the found footage genre, which has been kind of lacking recently, apart from films like Rec and VHS, which I really like. Yeah, I think it has given a new breath of life into horror itself and the found footage, you know, subgenre. I think this was a great film. Did it surpass the sequel? Probably not, because of it was so new and infamous at the time. You probably couldn't actually get past the original Blair Witch Project, but for some, with its added verve and its added, you know, gore and added jump scares, this might surpass the original for some avid horror lovers. I would definitely recommend going to see it. I think Adam Wingard is a fantastic director, and if I had to give it a review out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it 3.5, maybe pushing on to 4. But yeah, that is the spoiler-free part of my review and my general take on the movie. So if anyone who doesn't want any spoilers, you better turn this review off right now, because we are getting into the spoiler part and we are starting right now. So, as I mentioned before, there were some definite new takes on the legend, and there were, you know, some really interesting moments. There is a moment where Ashley, who is one of the group, goes up a tree to retrieve the drone, which is sort of veered off, and You know, we didn't see this in the first one. You know, it was really an exciting change. You see her clambering up the tree, and then a hand suddenly comes down and she falls, and you see her being dragged away. Now, that made my mouth fall open when I was watching the film, because it was quite sudden, and, you know, the image of her body being dragged away, just her feet, was really, really chilling. I absolutely love that. And I think that's the great thing about this movie. We got more visually than what we did in the first one. We kind of saw more, we heard more as well. The great thing about this film, I think, is that you actually hear the Blair Witch, and I think, you know, we get those rumblings in the trees. I think it's fantastic, like sound editing, but we didn't get that in the original. See, this film seems to be like touching on revealing her a little bit more, but still, you know, leaving the veil of mystery sort of half covered still. So I loved that moment. I also will say that in the end sequence, there were great new twists, such as the weird local, Lane, as I mentioned earlier, played by Wes Robinson, sort of becoming the Blair Witch's new Rustin Parr, you know, and he's the one that she anoints to sort of get the rest of the kids into her house, and, you know, to kill them. And I thought that was a really interesting twist. Touched, again, reminded us more of the legend, which I really, really liked. And also in the end sequence, I will mention, now I think this is the biggest spoiler, because people are like, do you see her? Do you see the Blair Witch at last? Yes, you do see the Blair Witch. It is very, very brief, but you see her. And it was very chilling. I can only say of something that reminded me of what she looked like, because there is a scene where she peers around the trees for a split second, and it literally, my heart went in my mouth, because I was like, oh my god, there she is at last. And you see her in the house as well. Sorry, here's my little notebook with all my notes. You see her in the house as well in the final sequence, and it's, you know, they create some fantastic jump scares that literally make you jump out of your skin, compared to some of the earlier jump scares in the film where it's just the kids, you know, bumping into each other in the dark, which I kind of found annoying. But yeah, the only thing I can sort of compare the Blair Witch to visually is, if anyone's seen Pan's Labyrinth, the pale man in that, from far away, that's what the Blair Witch reminded me of. So yeah, there's that. And I think the end sequence, you know what's going to happen. You know it's not going to end great for those kids, but the way it is done, and the house, the infamous house that we all know from the beginning, it's, you know, the tunnels underneath this time, which poor Lisa is trapped in, as I mentioned earlier. That is a new venture of the film that we get, and I really, really love that. The fact that we were exploring this house more, that we only saw for 10 minutes in the first film. And the house, I think, is just one of the most terrifying settings in a horror movie ever. I absolutely detest it, with the fingerprints and the handprints on the walls. It's horrible, but very, very chilling. I think it added to the whole, you know, really creepy aspect of it. The last, as I said, 30 minutes of the film is just an adrenaline-filled, terrifying rush. I wanted it to end, but I also couldn't look away from it. It was one of those really excruciating sequences, and I thought it was brilliant. I will say that the characters, other than the locals, are a little bit, like, not wooden in acting, but wooden in their character. You know, we don't really see them explored that much, and they do just seem like your typical horror teens that are doomed for death. But nevertheless, I think the acting of the cast was great, and I would definitely recommend this movie to any avid horror fan. I think it's fantastic. And you guys know my rating, I mentioned it earlier, but I would definitely go and see this movie if you could. And yeah, that is my take on the new Blair Witch movie. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I know this was like really, I feel like I was really rushing through this, but I think it was just because I was really, really excited about this movie. I had so many things to talk about, and I hope I made you want to check it out. If not, you can always leave a comment below suggesting a movie for me to review instead that is more to your liking. I absolutely welcome that. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!